So the first patent, 5618533, is the Yale flagellum method. It's 94%, 95% accurate. It's the earliest possible test for Lyme. It's 100% or nearly 100% specific. So that's how to test for Lyme. The second patent, 5747294, is Yale's outer surface protein A patent, or the LymeRix patent. Note that the LymeRix patent is a higher number than the flagellum patent, and that is because it was applied for after. This patent was applied for in December of 93, and this patent was applied for in October of 94. And 4 days after they sent this patent they applied for this patent on October 11th. They applied for this patent on the 7th, but on October 11th, 1994, Yale published an article in which they described how LymeRix won't work. And I'll put all this stuff on a separate webpage to go with this video, and I'll clip out the pertinent parts in the patents. Patent 5620862 is owned by Mr. Padula at UConn. In this patent, Padula talks about strain B31, which is the strain that SmithKline used to qualify LymeRix. That's the strain they used to Western blot people who received the vaccine and who were getting the placebo in the LymeRix vaccine trial. I called SmithKline and I asked them what strain were they using, and they said B31. Well, in this patent about B31, Padula mentions that it doesn't express a lot of OSP-C, outer surface protein C, the surface antigen associated with neurotropism, or getting into the brain. So, the scam of all of this, the central racketeering monopoly deal was Yale University owned the patent for OSP-A. They didn't qualify it with this because they knew that OSP-A didn't work. So they come up with a bogus method that leaves out outer surface protein A and B. That was like Steer's idea. That's when he went to Germany. The primary immunodominant antigens, the thing that is what's Lyme disease about these Borrelia, OSP-A, they leave that out of the standard. So if you have an antibody to that, you can't have Lyme, according to these idiots. And Padula says B31 doesn't express a lot of OSP-C. So A, B, and C were left out of the standard. So that means if you had any of those antibodies, and that was your marker that you were infected with Lyme, even though you got the vaccine, they wouldn't be able to tell. You couldn't report that. You still can't report that from any laboratory using B31. A, B, and C left out. Primary immunodominant antigens left out of B31 and the standard. The monopoly was, well, I'll get to that, that's down here. But anyway, so I was talking to SmithKline, and they told me that they sold their testing to Quest, Q-U-E-S-T. So now Quest uses strain B31. So no one should have Western blotting done with Quest Laboratories, because it's all fraudulent. U.S. patent number 6719983 is the patent in which Alan Barber discusses the immune system being nearly completely overwhelmed because A, you could be infected with multiple strains of Borrelia. That is, like I said before, it's all Borrelia. This bullshit about you can only have Lyme if it's the one that causes the knee disease. There's a bazillion Borrelia out there. And this guy says you could be infected with multiple strains of Borrelia, and they all do antigenic variation, which is why you can never have a vaccine for Lyme and why you can't rely on the Dearborn method. You have to use specific flagellum antibody test, rendering the immune system overwhelmed. The immune system is overwhelmed by Bieber-Dorfrey infection. And I'll put that on my website. I'll call the page patents or something like that. And the next patent is 6689364 by Denise Huber at Tufts. This is a patent for the new outer surface protein A, which she applied for in 2001, while LymeRix was still on the market, saying that this is a new version of OSP-A because it doesn't cause the same problems the last one did, while the vaccine was still on the market. And she also says that their new OSP-A doesn't bind the HLA molecule in question. Remember from video number molecule and becomes like a toxin. Toxic shock syndrome is this. Instead of me presenting Mr. Panda as an antigen against which your body will make antibodies, Mr. Panda has bitten me and caused this complex to be toxic. And so that's something you want to look at. That's even in the first abstract. In the abstract of the patent, they call it. She says it binds the HLA molecule. And this is the central racketeering patent right here, owned by Dave Persing, formerly of the Mayo Clinic, which is a bogus nonprofit, as is Robert Woods Johnson. So stay away from Mayo Clinic or Robert Woods Johnson, even though they're supposedly philanthropic places, clinics. In this patent, this is very, very important. The patent was applied for in 1996, and 1996, and it contains it's a patent for a spirochete that doesn't have the OSPE or V plasmid, which is really kind of stupid because these Borrelia have a single linear chromosome and a whole bunch of as many as 21 or more short plasmids, which are bacteriophage vectored segments of DNA. That's how the Borrelia acquired OSPE. OSPE is from a fungus. These viruses of bacteria transferred that DNA material. And so they got this strain of Borrelia. They got it from John Anderson, actually. And so Anderson's name ought to be on the patent. Doesn't have the OSPE plasmid in it. And in this patent, he discusses the problem with the testing for Lyme in vaccinated people. If you use a strain of Borrelia burgdorferi that has the OSPE or V plasmid in it, it causes this. And now, since I've done this so many times, this very same video, and kept screwing it up, couldn't find this thing. These are the Western blots of people who were vaccinated before and after. This dark strip that shows there's a great big smudge across the whole Western blot strip, so you really can't read the other bands, obliterating the ability to read Western blots in people who got the vaccine. So how could they have known whether or not OSPE or the Immuline vaccines prevented Lyme if they can't read their Western blots? This is from a report from Persing in 2000, after the FDA approved LymeRix. So all along, they knew they couldn't read their Western blots. Schoen talks about it in this book, the famous American College of Idiots book, in the chapter in the other video I showed. So three times they discussed the fact that they couldn't read their Western blots, going way back to 96, people who had received the vaccine, but they both reported to the FDA they had vaccines, which was clearly fraud. And so the patent, this patent person goes on to describe how this could be used in mass screenings of people where the vaccination status of the population is unknown. So, and Persing only licensed this test to L2 Diagnostics, which is Yale's former Lyme and Lupus clinic, and Immugen laboratories in Norwood, Massachusetts. So that was a little monopoly. They intended to get all of the national blood into Yale University, where they could look for new vector-borne diseases to patent and make money off of, and to do all the testing for Lyme. So the entire scam was about OSPE. Steer deliberately left it out of the standard. It should have been considered a specific antibody. You only need one specific antibody, because if one antibody is 95% specific, it's 95% accurate. Going 5 times 95 does not increase the accuracy so much that a person, who would leave out a whole lot of people because of the antigenic variation thing. So that too was a fraud, a business about you need 5 bands and